Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Greatmillstone, Ba'ashem Rachakadash. My name is Chicago from Plaintables Camp. And today is Black Friday. Yesterday was Thanksgiving. And as you know, Thanksgiving is in the Bible, the word anyway, not the current holiday or holy day as the Americans, the Edomite Americans, regard in high esteem. Now, we look up in the scriptures, the first time the word Thanksgiving is used, I believe, is in the book of Leviticus, 7th chapter. And the word there is Thawada. We got Al-Thawada. We got Ha-Thawada. All right. Which means it's H8426. Which means praise, a confession of thanks, to give thanks to God. Thanksgiving, a song, a hymn, a choir, singing, a company, thank offering, sacrifice of thanksgiving. So it's thanks. The root is just, means thanks. All right. So what did the first Americans, pilgrims, thank God for the crops, for being successful in their endeavors? Now, some people get confused with the beast, the nature of the beast, the so-called white man. You have a military, you have a religion, you have politics, you have a secret order, and you have more legs. But it's a beast. So the pilgrims were just the religious order of the same beast, coming here to rebuild the Roman Empire, to rebuild the ancient Roman Empire. You always had the different legs. You had the politics, military, religion, and the secret order throughout all the campaigns of Esau. And Esau tends to colonize nations that are not so-called white, if you didn't know. The majority of countries that Esau has colonized, so-called white man has colonized, have not been white. The native Europeans, the original Germans, original Brits, or Picts, Swedes, Danes, they weren't so-called white people. So the Roman Empire didn't colonize the different areas in Europe, didn't displace other white people, all right? They call themselves white. They're not really white. But they displaced people of different races, different ethnic groups. They didn't displace other white people, all right? The Romans were Edomites for the main part. All right, so let's look up some of the origins of what we call today in the United States, because it's an American holiday. No one else, I believe, celebrates it. All right, give me a brief report on the Thanksgiving and its ties to religion, because it is religious. Because when Esau came over, remember I told you about the different branches of the beast, Esau, Edom, rebuilding the Roman Empire. Religion, military, secret order, politics, it's different branches. The pilgrims were just the religious section of even though you're supposed to have freedom of religion here, this is a little odd. All right, a report, but then they say America is a Christian nation. That doesn't make sense. But a brief report on the origins of Thanksgiving and its ties. The origins of Thanksgiving trace back to 17th century, particularly 1621. So if you know anything about 1620, the bulk of the slaves, my ancestors, our ancestors, came over to Babylon, America during that time. So this is the religious order, all right, that had no problem, apparently. They were giving thanks. When my ancestors were getting their nationality, their identity beat out of them, all right, standing on auction blocks butt-ass naked, all right, in 1621. All right, while the pilgrims are giving thanks to God for giving them the land, for the manifest destiny, for the crops being successful. But let's read into it real quick. All right. Particularly 1621, feast shared by the pilgrims and the Wampanoag, which is Gad, the tribe of Gadites, I believe. This feast is often considered the first Thanksgiving. All right. Little did the Gad know that they were about to be massacred. They probably being massacred during this time. I got to look up the different wars between Gad and Esau. All right. But 1621 was not the start of the connection or the sharing of resources between Esau and Gad. 1621 is not the first date. But the Thanksgiving, I guess maybe these particular Edomites coming from Europe, because 1621 is kind of late in the day. They've been here since at least the late 1400s. All right. Or early 1500s. You got to look up the history. So it says it was a communal celebration of successful harvest and a way to give thanks for the blessing they had received. So they did receive their blessing. You go back to Genesis 27 chapter, and we'll actually get that. I'm going to read through this whole thing first, and I'll end with that scripture. Esau was given the fatness of the earth, America, right, and control of the different oil system in the world, the different oil. All right, you go to all of the countries in the world, you got American and so-called European countries in those lands building up those refineries, so they can take the oil out of the ground and refine it into different levels of petroleum. All right. So we have here religious context. The term Thanksgiving was used in the religious sense before it became a national holiday. Colonists often declared days of Thanksgiving as special occasions for prayer and gratitude to God. So remember, their religious branch of the beast, the devil, came here under the understanding that they were being blessed by God. So everything they did to the massacre, the partition of the land, was by the grace of God. They received grace from God, which is actually true. Or it says religious colonists often declared days of Thanksgiving as special occasions for prayer and gratitude to God. For example, the Pilgrims held another day of Thanksgiving in 1623 after a good harvest season. All right, so remember, this is all in the this is the religious sect of the beast, the devil. All right. They call it, it's referred to as a beast because it has many heads and parts to it. All right, and it's vicious and unmerciful. This is key dates and years: 1621, 1623, 1863. 1621, 1620, prominent year. Most of my ancestors came here, to the United States. Babylon, America. The Pilgrims and harvest feast with the Wampanoag, this Gad, often called the first Thanksgiving. 1623 onward, various colonies declared their own days of Thanksgiving for different blessings. All right, Abraham Lincoln in 1863, is that when slavery ended, so to speak? You can fact check that. Abraham Lincoln proclaimed a national Thanksgiving Day, officially making it a holiday and trying it to a day of prayer. Oh, and tying it to a day of prayer and gratitude to God. All right, so everything they did was by the grace of God, which it actually was. But the thing is, they're going to be punished. They're in a conundrum. They were led here by Yahushua, by the spirits, to conquer and to subjugate Gad, Reuben, and Issachar, the tribes here, the tribes of Israel. And then Judah came over, in the 1500s, 1600s, 1700s, and whatever it was abolished for transportation, actual transport. I think that's a different date, actual transport, and the ending of actual slavery. We just had to fact check that. All right. So let's go to the scriptures. Thanksgiving. So it shows up how many times? 27 times, at least 27 times in Leviticus. Sometimes it means was Thawada, which means thanks. And other times it'll mean, let me see, I got H30, 34, Yada, which means give thank, confess. Let's see what it outline is with biblical usage. You got praise, praise, confess, confess, thanks, confess, thanks, confess. I want to thank. All right. So he's telling you whose oppressors slay them and hold themselves not guilty. That's Zephaniah. So slay them and hold. Zechariah. It says Zechariah 11 and 5. Zechariah 11 and 4. Thus saith Yahweh, my God, feed the flock of the slaughter. All right. We're the ones that have been slaughtered, the tribes of Israel. Whose possessors slay them. This is the 5th verse. And hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, blessed be Yahweh, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. All right. So that's essentially what they were saying. They got rich because of the free land they got that they acquired. All right. All they had to do was pack food on the boat, sail across the sea, and take the land. And then Gad helped them do it because it was prophesied for the new Roman Empire to be built here in Babylon, America. All right. What does it tell you when the Daniel? All right. Well, Revelation, that the deadly wound was healed. All right. The deadly wound was healed. What? Revelation 13. All right. So America operates just like the first beast, and it will be destroyed by fire. The first beast was let's say co-opted, for lack of a better word, right? Which the old beast, the first beast, still held on to the same religious practices of paganism, meaning not worshiping the true God, or not worshiping the current God that's in power, right? Your pagan is basically upon perspective, upon your position in the faith or out the faith. All right, so that's Thanksgiving. All right, Thanksgiving is about giving thanks to God for successfully being successful after you conquered the land, being successful in your harvest. All right. Giving thanks. All right, and they would eat food. So it's a feast, Thanksgiving feast, to be more accurate. It's a Thanksgiving feast. All right, so it's not just a phrase or a word, it's an actual feast. That's why they sit there and eat all the different foods. Look up the foods. Let's see, what foods did they eat? No, they didn't have no baked macaroni and cheese back then. Maybe they did. All right, they had, based on written accounts, they had venison, wild fowl, wild turkey, ducks, geese, and swan. Seafoods, they had fish, mussels, clams, oysters, eel, lobster, and crabs. They're throwing down, okay. Corn, squash, pumpkin, beans, turnips, onions, and carrots. Okay. Fruits and nuts, berries, grapes, chestnuts, walnuts, acorns, and plums. No sugar desserts. They did not have pumpkin pie, apple pie. Oh, they didn't have apple pie? Oh. They didn't have some Dutch. Where does apple pie come from? I forget. Or English, might be English. I don't know. Or Swedish. They did not have pumpkin pie, apple pie, cakes, or sweetened cranberry sauce. Slice it. Yeah. They may have eaten. Okay, man, this is Maytrap. Mayflower, roasted pumpkin, a cornmeal pudding, unsweetened, dried fruit mixtures. That's what they ate. Yeah, because we have our feast of dedication. You know, which is supposed to be a joyous day, a feast. So we would eat food. So they didn't give a fuck if this this is what they actually had a feast of them, you know, being simple and letting the devil come and slowly erode their control over their land. But again, it was manifest destiny, it was prophecy. You know, this place is supposed to be built up by Esau. But hey, his end is that he's going to perish forever. Let me get that as precept and leave you out with that. And forget exactly where it's at. And should be that he perish forever. See where that is. All right. See where that is. Bear with me. Okay, yeah, it was looked upon Amalek, Numbers 24. And when he looked upon Amalek, he took up this parable and said, Amalek was the first of the nations, Numbers 24 and 20. But his latter end shall be that he perish forever. So that's the end of Esau. All right, and it also tells you that in Obadiah. All right, so I'll leave you out with that. That's a little bit about Thanksgiving. In Friday, Black Friday, I looked up some stuff on that too. It was something about traffic, and police called it Black Friday. So it was a lot of traffic during a certain time of the year, and then they marketed it for sales after that. But before then, it was already this time of year for some reason was already, before it was even called Black Friday, was already a day for commerce. Oh, for the end of the year, because they were in the red. So it's the time of the year when companies would make up for lost sales, or make up for sales they wanted to get during the other time of the year. Black Friday. All right, I'll read a little on that. We'll move on with the rest of our day. All right, so yeah, wasn't originally a shopping term. Heavy traffic, overwhelming crowds, packed sidewalks, accidents, and congestion coined Black Friday. All right, tourists and shoppers flooding the cities of the day after Thanksgiving. All right, then it evolved in the 60s to 80s. Retailers didn't like the negative meaning, so they rebranded it. They pushed a new explanation. Black Friday is when businesses go from in the red, losing money, to in the black, profit. So that's a term that was preceded Black Friday. Modern meaning, the kickoff holiday shopping season, the biggest retail sales day of the year. So that's your Black Friday. All right. So, and it's more. So, but I think I'll leave it there. Hope you edified. Shalom.